This is Lair Media. To whom it concerns, welcome to the panel. Good evening, everyone. Welcome along to this edition of the panel on Thursday, the 3rd of July. Till the year is, we're into the second half of the year already, believe it or not. A lot of people are on holidays, so they tell me anyway. They're probably dodging me, but they don't really want to face me. But that's their excuse when they're on holidays. But I think we might have one or two more coming in a bit late. Neil Murray, good evening to you.
How are you, Pat? How are you? All right?
Myself and Neil will keep the flag flying tonight, you know.
Keep it on.
We can keep the flag flying tonight. Make Ireland great again. Now, we had intended looking at a few things today to open the show with, first of all, the slaughter of Aisling Murphy. Oh, he's in. Good evening, Tony.
Yeah. Good evening. I pressed the button and I saw myself.
We were going for breakfast.
Did you get a fight?
I did. No, this computer, all emails normally on 99% of things are coming across. You know, they're vertical, whereas mine are horizontal, and it's very confusing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree there.
I got emails up there that I sent in 2020 and 2016.
Anyway, I was saying, Tony, that we're going to open the program tonight. Where I will anyway in reading out. Partially true. We're looking back at the horrific slaughter of Aisling Murphy in Tullamore. That time, remember the teacher and musician, Aisling Murphy.
3 years ago, was it? How long ago was
that? 3 years ago.
3 years ago, yeah.
It was a senseless murder. But today, the residue of that case is still happening. Today, I think, put the final nail in it. The BBC, I'm reading from a report to the Irish Times and Grip Media. The BBC has settled a defamation case in respect of Ryan Casey, a partner of the late Aisling Murphy, following comments made about him by the Irish Times journalist Kitty Holland on the BBC's airwaves in November 2022. A resolution of the matter was announced by lawyers for both parties at a brief hearing before Mr. Justice Alexander Owens at the High Court this morning. Grip Media understands that a very substantial compensatory sum has been paid to Mr. Casey. The BBC will also contribute a six-figure sum towards Mr. Casey's legal costs, it is understood. The case arose after the Irish Times journalist Holland made remarks on the BBC's The View programme in November 2023, justifying the lack of coverage of the victim impact statement by Mr. Casey, by broadly alleging that Mr. Casey's words were likely to incite anti-immigrant sentiment. Ms. Holland's comments provoked significant public discussion and criticism at the time. Grip Media understands that the BBC settlement puts an end to any legal threat to Ms. Holland, and that she does not face any personal exposure arising from today's settlement. After the decision was announced, Mr. Casey said this: "Today marks the end of a long and difficult chapter of frustration and censorship. I took this legal action against the BBC not solely out of anger, but out of a need for accountability and dignity for Aisling, for myself, our families, and for all the victims who deserve to have their voices heard. I welcome the resolution of these legal proceedings. I hope this serves as a reminder to all media organisations at the highest level of responsibility that comes with running public platforms. This was never just about me. Don't think for a second I don't see all the amazing support." He goes on to thank all the people who supported him. And then the BBC says this at the end of it: In the BBC's 30th of November 2023 episode of political program The View, Mr. Ryan Casey's victim impact statement at the sentencing of his partner's murderer was discussed. The BBC stands by the journalism involved in the episode, which debated serious issues of public interest. The BBC, however, is happy to clarify that it does not consider Ryan Casey to be a criminal or a racist or someone guilty of or attempting to incite racial hatred or someone seeking to pose as a hero of the right through the victim impact statement. The BBC acknowledges Mr. Casey's personal tragedy. The,
Oh, yeah.
sta-
I
the, sta-
remember hearing that, yeah.
the statement clarifies any unintentional interference that could have been drawn from the broadcast and has enabled the BBC and Ryan Casey to resolve the matter amicably. That's what the BBC said. They still don't get it. They still don't get it. They've wasted millions of public money, the BBC, and they said it's not resolved. Uh, Ryan Casey had to go to the High Court to get it resolved. What is the BBC talking about? Could you or I, attorney, go to the High Court? We couldn't afford it. It would be
Yeah.
600 grand. So I don't know where they're getting that from, And it just goes to show, when this man's reputation was besmirched in public by the BBC, and now they've paid out something like 1.5 to 3 million. But it's no money out of their pockets. It's the public money
Mm.
that's paying,
Yeah. The
that's footing
license,
the
the
bill.
license.
Nothing you can do with that. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, it's
Point.
absolutely. It. I saw the program, The View, when Kitty Holland made those remarks,
Yeah.
and it was just appalling. And our media want to take care of that. They didn't want. They didn't want to release the name of the man that killed her for age. Remember that? Nobody wanted
Yeah.
to release him, and
Yeah.
It's only recently his whole family were involved in the cover-up as well, and they've
They're
got
all
jailed.
found guilty.
He's two brothers, is it? His two brothers,
Yeah.
and their wives. Their wives are found guilty of getting rid of evidence and misleading Gardaí. So I mean, there was a whole family of a conspiracy to cover up the slaughter of that girl, which was
Yeah. And they had a wonderful home. They had a lovely house. They had all their food. They had what they wanted when they come over here. And this is what happens. This is what
yeah.
happens.
I know, yeah, and I'm absolutely uh, uh, disturbed myself that they haven't been deported out of this country.
Yeah, yeah. It's the way it's gone. This country, it's gone crazy. It's gone stupid. They're buying iPass centres, and I just heard the other day. It's going to cost 35,000 per person to stay here, per refugee to stay here, in this country, and that's per person, and it's going to cost billions and billions. And as I say, they bought City West. What's going to be next? And there's 30,000 coming in each year into this country. The country is flooded. It's flooded with people that we do not know, that we have not a clue who they are.
And there's a cartoon in today's one of today's papers. I see Fred and Wilma Flintstone. Do you know those Fred and Wilma
Yeah,
Flintstone?
yeah,
Yeah, Dabba do. They've packed all their bags, and Wilma said to Fred, "Where are we going, Fred? We're going to Ireland. We don't need anything. We're going to get a free phone, free accommodation, free food, £10, and we're going to get pocket money as well. Ireland is the place to go to." That was a cartoon and one of today's things. What do you think of that, Tony? Isn't that a terrible carry on?
We know that. That's gone on for years. We'll call it racist then if you object to something.
Oh, I agree with you there. I agree with you there.
Very hard. And people are afraid of their life to open their mouth.
yeah.
You know,
Terrified opening them out. Yeah,
you can't
terrified
say
opening them
that.
out.
You can't say that. To say you're a racist. I have Father Ted. You're a racist now, Father Ted.
Oh, yeah.
You know, yeah. It's got and as I say, I think I said it last week. Only Fools and Horses. They've cut a lot of Only Fools and Horses on the BBC when they're putting it on the BBC or whatever. They've cut a lot of stuff out of it. They have. It's mind boggling. The whole world has just gone woke and it's gone sad. It's gone absolutely pathetic. It's gone pathetic. This whole world, if you ask me.
Let me asking you, Niall, who did you vote for now the last time?
Well, I'm a taxi driver 18 years now.
What is that?
I'm a taxi driver 18 years now.
Who did you vote for? I
Before,
hope you didn't vote for the party that's running the country.
oh, who did I vote for? Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
I think it was the Independents.
yeah, yeah.
You think or you want to make up your mind? You should be able
Yeah,
to
I don't like who do you
answer like
vote?
that.
Like I didn't vote in the other fucking gobshites anyway. I voted someone different, Independents.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because people you should be able to answer straight away. It's like a politician using a and am. They're the greatest stalling tactics ever invented. Anyone using a and am and not concentrating on what they're saying.
Now, there was rumours in some press, Tony, during the week that Barrington's Hospital was being
It is.
as an iPass centre.
Anyway,
It's
supposed to
Yeah.
be.
it's just. I think Maurice Quinlan has come out and said it's not true.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't know
Well,
that.
Maurice Quinlan is not in government, so I wouldn't believe anything about Maurice
But
Quinlan says. You know.
there's B&Bs and there's Airbnbs been used as iPass centres as well. B&Bs
Yeah,
and Airbnbs, and they're just
yeah,
putting 3 or 4 beds into one home, into one room at a time.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like they're squashing them in, and
But
it's obviously not a fire hazard to them. But if we do, it's a fire hazard. You know what I mean? We open the B&B for normal people, and the fire brigade come in, and we do 3 or 4 beds in the room. That's a fire hazard, but not for them.
Yeah,
while
well,
you say the bunk beds, you put the small fella on top and the heavy fella on the bottom.
but that was always well known in England in the 60s. And
Yeah,
you had, well, usually what they did was one fella did the shift work and he came in the morning, got into the bed, and the other fella got out. And
Yeah,
they're supposed to be sleeping inside in drawers and all. You wonder. Is this still
yeah,
going on? I wonder.
well, I'll tell you something now. In 1973, we were looking for accommodation in London, and some of the places we saw, we had a job when we went there, we had jobs started for rent, but to see some of the places that were for rent in 1973, lads, I did you ever see that series Rising Damp?
yeah.
Oh, I'll tell
Yes,
you
Miss
now.
Jones.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes, yes,
yeah.
Miss Jones. Yes, yes.
The old bed sitters. Oh my God, lads!
Yeah,
You should see the state of them, and the
That's
smell,
here.
the smell of gas, and the smell of I know what else inside them. And they were looking for a lot of money for them, you know. Anyway, we eventually found a house through Penrose
But
to
that's happening here, and there's nothing done about it. There's
it,
people I know in Limerick that own houses, and they're not living in the city, you see, and they don't care. They're not here. They're not. There's no what to say, no regulations to look after these houses. That's a job I'd like, going around inspecting houses.
yeah. Oh, you'd be fairly busy. You'd be fairly busy, Tony.
We'll get it under control, I tell you, no time. We'll get down doing it, to look into who owns these properties, who's paying the rates in them, and how
yeah.
much is being taken in every week in rents. You
I
know,
mean, you're right, Tony. For the council not to do anything about the dereliction in Limerick is a sin.
oh yeah,
And I say it's the same around the country. And they do know because property taxes has to be paid and
Mm.
rates and stuff like that. Tax returns have to be made. It's very easy to find out these things. You
what's
can
this?
find them out, no
Oh,
problem.
you got
Isn't
to
there
go.
3,000? Isn't there 3,000 vacant properties in this country, and there's 15,000 homeless, 4,000 children.
I'd say now I don't believe a word out of those figures. I'd say the figures they are 20 or 30,000 homeless. I'd say
Yeah,
myself because
probably.
because the people
That,
who are couch surfing and sleeping
yeah,
in their friends' house are not counted. They're not
yeah.
counted.
That's
And I
right.
know
That's
I
right.
know, I know several of them, and
Oh,
it's
Yeah.
appalling, Kelly. You know, it's
Good
especially
appalling.
point.
Limerick to me is a small city now, and you can find out things very easily, very quickly, if you
Good,
want.
yeah.
Well, I know it. And although a lot of the city now has gone in, the county has been brought into the city, makes it more difficult in one sense. But you could, if you had the will to do it. If somebody was paying me, I'd do it. I tell you, you want to be paid for your work. It's like when I hear a politician, you often hear them saying he works very hard. You think he was doing it free? They wasn't
Yeah.
being paid at all. You know, I never praise people that have been paid to do their job. I was watching a thing on television yesterday about the VHI. They're before a committee at the moment. and to hear the waffle that some of them went on with. I'll hand you over now to what's his name. He'll handle that. And what's her name over there will handle that. And they're not strict enough saying, you listening to me? Well, you couldn't say you clown, but you'd like to be able to say that, are you listening? So
yeah.
get away with murder if you
Yeah,
act the
that's on purpose. That's on purpose, Tony.
horses. But
Yeah.
the TD is interviewing him and asking him. I was rolling at the television yesterday. Ask him why he made that decision. You don't ask that at all.
No.
It's like if you get something tomorrow from the minister, who is the minister? The minister doesn't even know you got what the letter was. Who was the individual that sent it out? I'd like to know. Because if any
Well, it has to be signed by someone. It can't be set out blank.
somebody has made that decision.
But
Who's
the dog, there was a dog committee on this morning talking to the Children's Hospital Ireland, with all the unusual operations that they carried out with children for years and years, and all the scandals that's in that. They were questioned by the committee. And like you said, Tony, a lot of the questions were of no value because they got no answer to them, They got and they didn't press them for an answer either, They didn't say,
It's like ask somebody out there who's the DPP. They have the bull's notion who the DPP is.
It's a woman. It's a woman, I forget.
She doesn't make decisions either. She doesn't know half the things coming in. There's some other fella in there, some other fella with a law degree who's just deciding someone's him, someone's her. Forget about that. And nobody seems to know what's going on. And it goes on, and people vote for these politicians. The same ding dong they criticize them. When I was doing the radio program, the first thing I used to say, if they're complaining, who did you vote for? And if you voted for the person you're complaining about, I just pull the plug, good luck, and say, don't complain if you voted for that person. Don't give up.
People don't understand the basic law of the land either.
They're not interested either.
But Tony, if you or Niall or myself, any one of us, if we get a summons in the morning, right?
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's a summons. It's a request to attend the court on such a day to answer about whatever, a parking fine, say.
Yeah.
The first thing people do, most people do, is they panic. They panic.
The law is based on bluff. We all know that.
You shouldn't panic. The first thing you do is, first of all, see who signed the summons.
Yeah.
Find out their email.
Yeah.
And email them. Say, dear Niall, I have a summons here. I'm intending in answering the summons on such a day. But in order to mount a successful defence of the thing that I'm charged with, I would like the following information.
You won't get it?
No, give a whole list of information. But the point is to create a paper trail. You
won't get the information.
I know that, but I created a paper trail for 2 separate things.
Yeah.
And they were dismissed.
Oh, yeah. So I got a summons for a parking ticket in a place that was never parked. When I answered it then, they wouldn't help me. They just said, forget about it. But I wanted to know who the guard was and how did he decide it was my car. The whole thing was, and he got away with it. That's wrong. He should have been fined then, and he wouldn't be so smart the next time. You see? Why was he brought to court? Why wasn't he reprimanded for that? Unfortunately, it was just wiped out.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
I got a summons there about 7 weeks ago. I had to attend court on the 25th of June for doing 64 in a 50 in 2022 on Cork Street. So I said, right, yeah. So I says, right, I'm going to court on this. I go to court on all my fines. I've no points in my license because I go to court on them all and I fight them all and I always win.
Yeah.
So I went in and what I was going to say was I had a lady in the car. Her daughter held me down. She was extremely sick and the daughter was extremely she was crying. She was
emotional.
Yeah, and I was rushing to James's hospital. That was my duty done for that day, and I believed I didn't care what I was doing. I wanted to get her. That's what I was going to say, and I always get away. But anyway, apparently for some reason the judge had said to me, "Mr. Murray, you didn't need to be here. It's a strikeout." So it was a strikeout.
Strikeout.
No,
Somebody, yeah.
but the judge, the guards, if you go down to the courthouse, which I often do frequently, and go down and sit there, the guards are terrified of the judges. Terrified of them there.
They're only people.
Yeah, but that's all right saying that, but they're still terrified of them. Watch them, shaking while they're reading
I'm not
out.
afraid. Like I have no problem standing up in court and saying me bit. No
No,
problem whatsoever.
no.
Yeah, but you and I would, but how many more? See, most
Yeah,
people
yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah,
The fight of
yeah,
it's based on bluff. Who's going to
yeah,
put it in first? Because
yeah,
guards they have no education really in law. All they're told
yeah.
is to sit down, and you get the superintendent inside who he doesn't even know the guards himself most. They have no management
No,
experience.
there was young guards. Myself and Mary went to in Dublin for the last hurling match with Limerick in Dublin, and we were on our way to Croke Park, and there was guards dotted everywhere, watching the crowd and all of that. And we came across we saluted this guard. I tell you, lads, he looked like a child. He was so young and looked like a child in uniform.
Baby grow.
And I said to myself, I was thinking all differently. I name of God. We went up talking to him anyway because we were trying to swear. We were chatting away, and I said, you knew. He said, yeah, I'm just out of Timplemore 2 weeks, and they send you up here. I said,
Jesus, it's sad. It's
he,
sad.
he hadn't even got his stripes yet, as they say.
I,
He had to finish his education on the job.
I think somebody put a photograph of him up on social media. I think I know the figure you're talking about. He looked like a fucking child in a baby grow.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's,
Yeah, but you know, laughing, but he can summon both of you, don't forget. He can
Yeah,
yeah,
say,
yeah,
yeah,
the favourite one
oh,
is, are you giving cheek? That's the
yeah,
favourite course. The thought to
yeah.
say, are you giving cheek? And he can
What's
yeah.
he?
engage for that. You see,
What's
that's the
what's
laughing
he? What's Sikh, Your Honour?
The left or right?
I'll tell
What's
you.
Sikh, Your Honour?
Come here. Well, Neil, are you going to be buried or are you going to be burned?
Oh, I don't know. I'd say I'd probably I'd like to be buried so my family can come and talk to me. Do you know what I mean?
When you're dead?
What?
Yeah, yeah.
When you're dead?
You don't
Yeah.
believe that? You
No.
don't believe,
You want to
What?
know.
What are you saying, Tony?
You want to know what they're talking to when you're dead. How would they
I
talk
know,
to
but still, I know, my mom and dad, they're getting buried when they pass away, so I want to be able to go and talk to them, and
you?
I
Yeah.
made sure of that. They said
Yeah,
they're getting born. I said, you're not getting fucking born. I said, you're getting buried.
yes. You have to, you have to, you want to make up your mind what you're going to do, you know.
No, they're getting buried. I told me they're getting buried. I said, I want to be able to go down and have a chat with you.
Actually,
I get your point because the last time I was down in Man, I went out to visit my mum's and my brother's grave. They're buried in the same grave, obviously, too, because my
Yeah.
brother was the first to die in the family
All
plot.
right.
But it is a very strong tradition in Ireland anyway,
Yeah.
that funerals and all the ritual around funerals are all part and parcel of our makeup. And
Yeah.
there's lots of things that happen around funerals. Maybe some people don't like them or don't believe in them, that's fine, but the vast majority of people do. That's why you see so many graveyards and so many people
Yeah.
going to graveyards. So,
Yeah.
it's
it wasn't allowed by the church, don't forget.
huh?
Catholics weren't cremated. So, and
No,
that's another reason, you know. This
that's
Yeah, but
French
true.
funeral,
Yeah.
thing.
most funerals go down well.
I was at guess I called it a burning again, at a burial, what do you call it, cremation just in Shannon, a neighbour of yours, Pat, out in Shannon. They died,
Who's that?
she's Cronin Lawn or Cronin thing, or she was, anyway, yesterday outside in Shannon.
Well,
And,
I know of the woman. Yeah, I saw the death.
you know, anyway, because she knew you anyway before. Anyway, she she was, and this is the funny part. I was talking outside the what you call it, not
The
the fire,
crematorium.
the what you call it,
The
crematorium.
cre- yeah.
Uh, we were talking outside there, and would you believe we were asked to move because there was another funeral coming in.
Yeah, that's
Next,
right.
next thing there was another one arriving. The other one even wasn't even gone cold yet.
They
You know,
usually no, they usually have 3 or 4 in the day.
yeah.
No,
Yeah.
they're
Dead
fi- they're,
busy.
fi- they're all bundled together.
Imagine the fella operating that must have a suntan. be buttons,
Yeah.
just operating that inside,
I met him one time and I asked him, did anybody ever scream going into the fight?
And his role. Did any of you see the series? It's busy done short again. It was actually shown at least twice or three times. A series on TG Carr called See You Burn. That was his name. See You, Christopher Vincent Burn. See
Yeah?
You, that's Christopher
No.
Vincent Burn. It was all about two brothers that ran a crematorium in Donegal.
Yeah?
They had a fire worked on turf. And he used to be taking shoes off the corpse. It was very funny. Seriously. Really short again, and it ran for about 8 weeks. He did about 8 episodes in it.
Yeah? I must look that up now, that'll be on the player probably. See you burn, lads, if you ever good laugh.
See you burn, yeah.
So,
And
so
see that you that burn. But I tell you, it was one of the funniest series I ever saw anyway. And
I see you born.
See You Burn.
See, they ever see you burn. Yeah. Now,
Someone,
And to CG Cahal. And I think there were at least 8 episodes. But there were these two brothers anyway, and he was an undertaker. But the crematorium was running turf. And he used to collect all the shoes and then he go off
so,
the car.
so it was a peat burning crematorium, was it?
He's been
yeah,
running out. His brother, Fancy was his brother. He's been running out of things,
Yeah.
He mightn't say, we just say he mightn't have matches to light the fire,
Yeah.
someone told me in the car one time, I don't know whether this is true or not. Do you ever see graveyards the way they're sort of sunk?
Yeah.
Someone told me before that the body, for years after, the body is letting out air and wind, and that's why it sinks.
Well, gases,
Is that true?
Gases, yeah. But
Yeah, is that true? My God.
the human body doesn't last long in the grave. No.
Yeah.
Now only did you hear, they used to maintain years ago that if you got a body, they were a saint, if the body wasn't a load of rubbish. What happened was the air often doesn't get in, if it's sealed well. And the body would stay there not forever, but people often tell you that they tried
For a
to
long
bury
time.
and the body was still intact in a coffin.
Yeah.
That's the air getting in. The air will rot the body in a couple of weeks, 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My God.
Some of the yarns you hear, some of the grave diggers, the yarns, I tell you, I've had many yarns in my time. I have to tell this one. There was a certain, he's retired now here in Limerick, and I'd be looking for graves doing in research, some of the names,
Yeah.
and every grave was inside in the graveyard. He could tell you. But I went up one to a particular funeral, and when he saw me coming, he ran in behind the headstone. He was shouting, "Is he gone?" Me. There were people looking to see what was he all about, And he was asking the other diggers, "Is he still there?" Me, in case I was looking for something, He's been showing me graves. He was very funny. He was, but he
Did
knew.
any of you ever see a ghost?
No.
No, me neither.
I'm the greatest skeptic Niall could meet. No.
Well, I wouldn't be a skeptic at all. I wouldn't be a skeptic. It's not that I go around looking for ghosts or believe them.
Yeah.
I
So,
believe.
Give me a photograph.
But I believe that, you couldn't take a photograph of a ghost, can you?
Be like an X-ray.
If you show me a photograph, I believe it. Because I said that to the Mormons. If they show me the golden plates that they have hidden in the hill of Cumara outside in upstate New York, the golden plates are buried on a mountain, and they're revealed. I can't think when they're revealed, but
Who buried them?
that's a good question. But I asked them to show me the golden plates. I'll become a Mormon. And they tell me that nobody can see the golden plate. And I said, they're there. If you cover the holy hill they have. So show me the golden plates. I said, and I'll become a Mormon. They can't be seen. Because the Mormons believe that the Lord was in South America. So we'd wander at times,
See, I'm afraid that if there is reincarnation, I'll come back as me.
That could happen too. You never know.
Yeah.
Who's the crowd that believe in that? It's not the Hindu, it's the other crowd where they leave the cattle roam around, isn't it? Is it the
Yeah.
Sikhs and Hindus, isn't it? And they believe in reincarnation, all right, I think.
Yeah,
But
I should look. I'm at a stage now, like when you go, you go. I
Yeah.
don't know, like we were rare to go to mass every Sunday, and
Well,
we did that.
I don't really think it's important what type of next life you believe in.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
for certain, there's one certainty. All the millions and millions of people that have moved on, as we say, to the next life, they're not coming back, and there's a
No,
reason
I'm not.
for it.
No.
They're not
Yeah,
coming back.
yeah.
And
well, I was
the
talking
offer,
to an American who was friendly with a guy whose uncle was up in the space station, the ISS going
Oh,
around.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And he told me they spent weeks, he said. They were looking for heaven and they couldn't find it. They're going round and round. The cameras and all ready they had, waiting to
Couldn't
see.
find it.
Could you not? No. They went
Did you
around and
see?
around.
well,
Did you
now,
see the interview?
Every 94 minutes it goes around.
but Tony, some religions abolished purgatory, as you know, and they abolished limbo.
Yeah.
Remember that?
And
And we
but
were,
then it's not really. I don't understand this. Like they believe something one day, then the next day it's fucking cancelled. I don't get that.
it was cancelled, yeah. I'd say due to lack of interest, yeah. Go on.
Limbo isn't officially done away with. It's still on the statute book, but it's not. It's not spoken of.
Why?
Terrible thing. Limbo was to tell a woman after having a child that her baby had died and was gone to limbo and would never. One of the things was the child would never see the face of God in limbo. Yeah. The women were told that.
No, no, no. We all grew up with the tradition of limbo
Yeah.
and purgatory.
It was a dark place, limbo. Limbo was worse than purgatory.
Purgatory, yeah. I remember purgatory, yeah, yeah.
You could say six Hail Marys, six Our Fathers, six Hail Marys, and six Glory be to the Fathers to get a soul relief from purgatory. Don't forget. And
And
that is,
and what would you say if you wanted to keep them there?
you just shut your mouth and don't say anything.
Did you see the interview? I watch Piers Morgan every morning. He does be on the night before in America, and I watch Piers Morgan every morning, and he was interviewing the new Pope's brother. It's a
Yeah,
good interview.
From Chicago, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
did you see it? Have a look at that, lads. It's a good interview. He's a very nice fella, the Pope's brother.
His brother, yeah. Is he coming to
Yeah,
Ireland? Is he
I
coming
don't
to
know,
Ireland?
but I don't know, but it's a good interview. Piers Morgan, the Pope's brother, like, and they couldn't believe when he became the Pope.
But he had,
You must have upmarket television, have you? I can't get him.
No, it's on YouTube.
On YouTube.
yeah,
Yeah, just type in Piers Morgan and you see, latest video. Just there's loads of Piers Morgan videos there. He's brilliant. He is Piers Morgan. Just give me a second.
Would
Give
you
me a
answer
second.
me? How do you get the time to be looking at all this?
when he's eating his breakfast.
When he's eating his breakfast? Well, I
Yeah,
had my breakfast, I've only 2 cups of tea, so I still wouldn't have time. How's that? And you can be watching Piers Morgan.
yeah. Now, the program is the
There,
panel
yeah.
on your media.tv. All the information is down the bottom of the screen. All the programs can be found on our YouTube channel, which is theirmedia.tv. Press the red button on the right hand side as you look at it and subscribe to our channel. It's very much appreciated. We're here nearly every Thursday night. This time of year, people are on holidays and they're away and all of that and spending their money. Good luck to them anyway. This morning we woke up, just to mention in passing, to the news that one of a very talented footballer, Diego Jota, and his young brother were killed in a car crash in Spain. And Jota was a Liverpool FC player, but he only got married a couple of weeks ago to his childhood sweetheart, and he has 2 kids as well. This Diego Jota, which was I would just get you up in the news. The Lamborghini.
Would you
Got,
when I heard that now, Pat, to interrupt you, when I heard that now, I said to myself, I guarantee you he's driving in his Maserati or a
Yeah,
Lamborghini.
yeah,
And he's
yeah.
speeding.
well, I was looking at the aftermath there this evening, just to get you up on it. The Lamborghini, according to the police reports, had a blowout. A
He
blowout.
said that, yeah.
And the car went out of control and burst into flames. Now, we know what a powerful car. I'm not making any inference about whether they're speeding or not. We know what a powerful car a Lamborghini is, and
Yeah.
they're on their way to the ferry port in Santander, go back to England for pre-season training.
What
But
time is his funeral? I might go.
well, I tell you, it was a tragedy anyway for his family,
I
and
never heard of that.
the
Two brothers died.
two brothers. His younger brother died in the crash, and I suppose the football community would put their arms around the family in their hour of grief. But I thought I would say it for all, as we know we have a lot of Liverpool fans in this country, and my own son is one of the fanatic Liverpool fans, you know. But anyway, we commiserate them with their family, and
Yeah.
we wish them well for the future, you know. But
Pat, Tony, I'm gonna have to go. Okay. I just I'm gonna have to go. So I'll talk to you next week. Okay.
all right, now take care. Have a
Well,
good
Thanks
week.
very
we'll miss you. We'll miss
Yeah.
you.
We'll connect with you next week. Take care.
Thanks very much. See you next week, lads. I have to leg it. Thank you. Bye bye. Bye bye.
Now, Tony, I just want to ask you something.
Somebody looking for a taxi up to
Yes,
Glasgow.
yes, up to the crematorium. We were looking. They're looking for their shoes back. But we were saying that
But I never heard of that football. I wouldn't know how to do anyway.
we were at that launch last night of the Limerick Soviet and New Edition book. You know,
Oh yeah.
that was launched in Mary I, and I thought there was some books written on that before. Or am I wrong? Was it pamphlet?
But one of the best books ever written on that was by Liam Cahill. I had him down giving a talk to the Historical Society. Liam was a reporter for RTE one time. And then
Neil Cahill, is it?
Liam Cahill, yeah. He used to report on industrial disputes and all that kind of stuff. Then he got a job working for Intel. He used to do a PR for Intel in where did they league slip? Actually, they lose recently now again.
Yeah, they're leaving off a couple of hundred people, yeah.
Yeah, he was, but Liam died there. Oh God, it'll be 12 months dead yet now. But Liam has written a lovely book on the Limerick Soviets. But they call theirs now the boycott. I haven't seen the book yet now, but when I see it, I'll be going through it because I couldn't go because I said it at the beginning of the program. I went to hear.
Sorry, my mistake. To the Limerick program.
Yeah, well, it wasn't really a pogrom as such. No.
That's how they're describing it in the book.
I agree with that. No, it wasn't a pogrom.
And
But-
the two speakers that get to speak.
Yeah,
John Moran wasn't there. His deputy came. One of the councillors came to speak on his behalf. But she was very good. She's from Multone Street herself. So
who
she,
spoke on his behalf? Who would he have? He's no.
no, she's Fianna Fowler. They get their turn to represent the mayor when he's not there. But
Can you imagine how he'd been there?
and
you know?
I was saying it after. I said, make sure you don't leave the chain in the boot of the car when you're going home. You know.
He wouldn't know much about it anyway, John Moran. There was I heard today, a man told me today who was the hell that was going and he never showed up. You know, where was he that he didn't show up, I wonder?
Yeah.
Where
I don't
was
know. I don't know that, but
he?
it could be in holidays. It could be in holidays away.
You know?
You know.
You know, you'd imagine being the mayor, he'd be there if he was asked, like, you know, to be some kind of a.
Well, I'll tell you, the place is packed, full. The room was full G10 in Mary I, you know. And
Yeah, but I was in Killaloe to talk last night, and I wanted to hear this fella talking about Brian Boru. You know, he good facts, but I'd heard most of it before, the talk he was giving, you know, and he read a talk. I hate people reading notes, prepared notes. Why can't they talk from their head? You know, people are
What?
things out from all the time. Like some of them, I've heard politicians now at a book launch, and it's all prepared for them, and they know they're going to read out what's written for them. You know,
I was just looking recently. I mean, we've had as a country have had many kings down through the years in our own country. Is Brian Boru the most well known of the kings, High Kings of Ireland?
he was the O'Briens of Toomans. Well, the Dalcashans is the word was the actual tribe.
Dalcashans, yeah. Would they be the?
He went above that now. He went up to Edward I, and he brought in the other fellow, Longshanks, who was the king when Braveheart involved with Braveheart.
Yeah. Longshanks, yeah.
What's his name? The actor, McGoohan, the prisoner. He He played him in the film of Edward the First. Who was in that film? What's his name? The other fella, I can't think of his name. Mel Gibson, was it?
Mel Gibson was in Braveheart. Some of the scenes were shot down in Clare Castle.
Some of them were down in Wexford, weren't they? No, they're in
Yeah,
Wexford.
they were in Clare as well, in Clare Castle.
Yeah,
They were-
Corriclaw down in Wexford. But
Yeah.
like, I know he covered what happened, how the O'Briens held on to all their properties in Clare when the Normans came in and when the English came in and what happened. You know, they were able to swear they all did that. They were able to swing whatever king was in power, of course. They were very cute, some of them. And of course, they let them change their religion
So
after
a question of survival, really. But Longshanks was a killer, a brutal murderer, you know. As a king.
yeah, but they were all murderers, yeah, they were all in
Well,
Brian.
they were. The same with Henry VIII. Henry VIII was probably one of the worst of the kings in England.
That was life, and nobody that time lived really. If you lived to be 70 or 80, you were really pushing your luck. You know,
They
it's hard
were.
to believe how young most of them died. They all
40,
died in the 50s.
45 was the average age.
It's amazing to read on how young they were, some of them, even some of the right families and that, to read about some of them. But like that, Brian Bruce must have lived to a good age, all right. And he was reputed to have been a good fight, actually. The battle was fought, the Battle of Clontarf. We were finally pushing the Vikings out. But he was supposed to have been praying in his tent. He probably was, you know, when, what's his name? I can't think of his name. Bruder went in and shot him, went in and stabbed him inside in his tent while he was praying. What a way to go, you know. And,
A belt of a hatchet.
well,
Yeah.
the lecture last night though was all about how they held on to their lands and that, and how he didn't go as far as Henry VIII now. He was all about the 1300s, you know, the 1400s.
Yeah.
It was okay lecture, but that's why I wasn't at the other one last night. Because I'm very friendly with Sean Gannon, who did the book. You know, Sean is the librarian outside in my Ross. And
All right.
he looks after all the reference books and that. And
Yes.
he's already done another book he did. And I had him giving a talk to the Historical Society there about a year ago. He gave a nice talk on his last book, which is concerning Presbyterians in Limerick. It's a very good, nice little book. Anyway, but that was that anyway. So now, what time is it? It's only
And then we were saying that it was the pogrom they were on about last night. I beg your pardon. I said the Soviet. It was the pogrom on the Jew in 1904 when
Yeah.
the small 1904 when the small Jewish community were hunted out of Limerick at the time. You know.
Well, there was some left, you know, and after.
It is.
But originally, now when they came here, they didn't come here as such. A lot of them were from Lithuania. They were Lithuanian Jews.
They were Lithuanian Jews, yeah. So was Gerald Goldberg was a Lithuanian Jew who became Lord Mayor of Cork.
I brought the Israeli ambassador about, God, it must be about 10 years ago, about 12 years ago. I took the Israeli ambassador around the Jewish cemetery out in Castletroy.
Yeah.
I brought him around and I was showing the various graves. There aren't very many buried there.
No.
And I was asked the last burial there now. I was at a funeral of a friend of mine, Stuart Klein. Now, Stuart, he's buried there, but Stuart wasn't born in Limerick. No, he was born in England. And what's his name is buried there, Louis Fine, who was a jeweller in Limerick. Louis is buried there. And,
Fine's Jewelers.
yeah, which is gone out there in the O'Connell Street. They were there for years. His son is still, he does what you call an optician. He's Louis' son. But like that, Louis was the last one to be very accepted when Stuart Klein came along. And the Israeli, the rabbi was there for that.
Yeah.
It was funny to see. It's funny in the sense that different from ours, you know,
Yeah.
a Jewish burial like. But because I was very friendly with Stuart Klein. Stuart was a scrap dealer. He used to deal in scrap down in Summer Street. And he was a very funny man, he was Stuart. I interviewed Stuart on the radio about yarns, about Jewish yarns and that. He was very funny. But then the children, the same with the Fines, they were all brought up then as Catholics, you see. So the Jews kind of died out in Limerick then. There used to be 2 synagogues in Limerick. And they split, of course, as well. They like the IRA. When they go in, the first thing they organise is the split.
Yeah.
But what you call it, there were a lot of them, they all kind of settled in Old Thorn Street, which was known that time as Killooney Street. And
Yeah.
the rabbi, what was his name? Levy, Rabbi Levy. He was hit with he was split in the head with a stone. And the young fella that was charged with that was sent away for, I think he got 6 months. I can't think now what he was at the time, and I should know. But when he came back to Limerick, he was met above at the railway station where all the bands met him, young fella. And he was paraded around the street up in the top of the car.
Go ahead.
When he came back as a hero, you see. And that's well known. And I could go into it now, we're giving too many names away, but I've spoken that before when I brought the Historical Society up on Thorn Street about 4 years ago. When we were looking at the site of the two synagogues that used to be there. You know, one of them is still standing, but it's not.
And I mean, there was a small. There wouldn't be many Jews around Limerick now, would there?
Now? No, I wouldn't say so. No, I wouldn't say there were any in Limerick now. They moved in Dublin. They all lived in Dublin. I knew a good few of them in Dublin. They were living in Termuir. There was a family now that dealt in sewing machines. They had a company called as Machines Limited, and they were Jewish. And since Termuir, a lot of them kind of settled around Termuir. A lot of people in Dublin tell you that now, when they are Termuir.
Yeah, I think the whole population of the Republic is only around 1,400 Jews.
Oh, very low.
It's a very, very tiny
Same with
community.
Gerald Goldberg, his father, they went to Cork, they did Gerald Goldberg.
Yeah.
I mentioned there last year when there was a talk, Des Ryan has done tremendous work on the Jews, and he's written nearly every year he did an article in the Old Limerick Journal about the Jewish families in Limerick. And Gerald Goldberg was at the talk. Although
And where does Des live?
Des living out in Maras. There's just an interest he has in the Jews in Limerick. And he's very good.
And he's the man, he's the librarian you're talking about, is he?
No. That's Sean Gannon. No. Des used to work in the corporation, all right. But Des is retired now from the corporation. But Des has done tremendous work. He's an article in nearly every journal on the Jews, mainly on Jewish families and that.
Yeah.
He's written doing that for years, he is. And but anyway, he was going to that book launch show last night. He was probably there, because he's friendly with Sean Gannon as well. Because he'd use that library, you see, in my house. It's very handy if you're living out that way.
Yeah.
And you could drive up to the door, we'll say. Whereas when the library was in the granary or the one down the Ellen Street, you had to park your car, you couldn't drive up to the door. More people say in Maras, especially if you're living out around towards Mungret now, it's a long way to Maras.
That part of town, yeah.
But anyway, he just went to it. And Sean Gannon now looks after it down there well,
You might get this right on the show some night.
Oh, yeah, he might come on,
Yeah.
He might come and talk about the book and that. But it's people don't even realise the Jewish graveyard is there, And
For our listeners out, Tony, for our listeners tonight, for our viewers, tell them where, is that the one out, is that out by Watch House Cross?
No, that's the Paupers graveyard. No, that's the Paupers one in Watch House. That's how you end up with the Watch House Cross.
Yeah.
We're watching the robbing of the bodies, No, that's
So where for our people looking in, where is the Jewish graveyard in Limerick?
If they don't know, they should be ashamed of themselves. If they're Limerick people, if you're right across the road, there's a pub out there called the Horrors. I did a documentary on RTE on the radio about. It was done by a journalist from Cork, Donna Sullivan. She was working for RTE.
I know Donna well.
And I brought them to the Quakers graveyard first in Ballinacurra, and then I took them to Mount St. Lawrence, we'll call it the Catholic one, the municipal one as it likes to be called, and then go to the Jewish graveyard. And I was talking about the Jews that were buried there. That was played in RTE. It was a series they did on burials, on graveyards. People forget about that. I forget about it myself. I'd say people could probably find that online. I'd say now.
You probably find it on YouTube,
Well,
So the Hurlers pub where
Yeah,
people
right across the road from it.
people should know the Hurlers pub anyway, you know.
Yeah, and there's a huge, big kind of a dome in there belonging to Telecom. Big thing like you'd see in NASA. People often wonder what that is in there.
Yeah,
And just you walk in there and you'll see the graves inside. There's a Star of David on the gates going in. And there's a little Tahara, the little house where they wash the bodies before they're buried. And that's there on the right hand side. And then you see the graves. There aren't many there, and it's very difficult to read them because they're. What way did the Jews do it? They do it. They give their dates from is it David or something? You get into thousands they're gone. You have to work it out then as to the
yeah,
year. You
yeah,
know, all the headstones I think they were made in Dublin. Now Louis Fine's one is very small, a lower one, and the same with what's his name, with Stuart Lyons, you know. But the old ones are very, very kind of fancy. They're not fancy, but the way they're written, and the Hebrew one, they were, of course. But like that, they were done in Dublin because I know that my friend Tom Donovan uh, had a book published called oh God, it's called after a song now. I can't think of it, the name of the song. But anyway, it was about this fellow that went down a grave. What you call it? A sculpture, not a sculpture, but what you call it? Made a headstones, a stonemason,
so
and he went
amazing.
to live in Australia, and he was in big demand in Australia for Irish script. I mean, who would have had Irish script out in Australia? You know,
No one, no
you know,
one.
but he used to do it. Oh, Home Thoughts from Abroad, actually, is the name of the book. And it's a lovely book on about his life in
I know
Australia.
you said that was a song by Clifford T. Ward.
As I said, you'll call after the song. Yeah,
Clifford T. Ward, Home Thoughts of Ward. Brilliant song. Yeah,
lovely song.
brilliant song.
But the book is about that, doing work on headstones. And he was in big demand out of Australia doing Irish script, you know, because it's difficult if you obviously if you don't know about it. But the same with the headstones now in the Jewish graveyard. They're all in
Yeah.
here. And luckily it has survived, you know. Although I did about, I'd say about, what am I saying, it's more than 50 years ago. I was up in Crumlin and this doctor was there and her name was Goldberg. And
Oh,
I said to her, I remember saying to her, you went into the man in Cork? Yes, she says. I said, we should go to the father-in-law I was on about at the time. Tell you how long ago it is now. And now when I talk to Gerald Goldberg, she's actually his wife. We call her Gerald now. But the old Gerald, I said, tell him he'd want to come down to Limerick and cut the grass on his father's grave. I said, it's in a bad state. And he did. They could cut the grass. I remember being in there, the grass was up to my knees nearly in the Jewish graveyard. Now it's very good. Although there is a right of way through it, and luckily enough, it has never been vandalised, which is lucky because there's people usually going through the graveyard and into houses on the far end. But you should go out sometime and have a look at it out there.
I
You know,
must say, Home Thoughts on Abroad, I just looked it up there, apart from, it was an original poem by Robert Browning.
Robert, yes, right. Because
And
he
yeah,
was his activity award was man about poetry in that.
yeah,
And
Clifford T. Ward wrote a song in homage to it.
he died of
Yeah, I
motor
think
He did.
1973.
Yeah, because he wrote some lovely songs, you know.
Yeah,
But what a pity. But that's the Jewish graveyard anyway outside. And it was great to take away actually the ambassador at the time. I was talking to him around to him about devaluation of the shilling in Israel. And you know what they did one time? Devaluation, what would I say? The cost, what's the word I'm looking for? The cost of living in that.
yeah.
Inflation was so bad in Israel that they decided they withdrew all the banknotes, took the knots of one knot of each note. So, in other words, if you had 100, not shilling, what's it called?
Shekels.
Shekels. If you had 100, you got up one morning and it was 10. The 10 ended up as 1.
One.
The, the 50 ended up
Five.
500. So they did that. And he told me it was his father did that. My father, he said, was Minister for Finance at the time.
Yeah.
said, keep that quiet now. He was actually the ambassador at the time. This is
Yeah.
about, I'm talking, what am I saying? It's about 15 years ago, I'd say, you know, and it's a
And now, sadly to say, the Israeli embassy is no longer in Ireland, which is very, very sad.
No, it's
Which,
gone, yeah.
which is a very, very sad reflection on the state as well, and on some of our politicians, I may hasten that. Not all of them, but some of them, and they know who they are. It's very sad indeed. And Dana Elker, who was the last ambassador, a fine ambassador, a lovely person, very erudite and sharp. And I met her, I had the pleasure of meeting her twice. So she was the officially the last ambassador from Israel to Ireland, you know, which is very sad. Have we learned anything from history, Tony?
Very little, unfortunately. Things still get bad. You'll wonder at times, you know, we're reading on what happened in the country, in this little country of ours. And it's really hard to believe what we've put up with and what we had over the years. When you start reading, although at times you get very bitter when you read on some of the atrocities that were committed in the country, you know, going way back, you would have had all in the face of religion, you know, and it was always religion, and half them didn't even know that. You know, I had the song the other day now with Sean Keane singing the song, and I can't think of the actual song, but he says something when I die, and put me around with the wrap me up in the green, white, and gold. It's the green, white, and orange. The flag, the Irish flag. If you ask most people what's the colour of the Irish flag, they tell you it's green, white, and gold. Because when they do that, they wanted to obliterate the orange altogether. You know?
No, we all know. Well, we should all know that it's green, white, and orange is the Irish flag. That's it.
You ask somebody tomorrow, what's the colour of the Irish flag? They say green, white, and gold. You know, and I've seen it matches with a gold colour. That wouldn't be allowed in America, you know. And
no.
Even when you see them, they're a match going to start. They all start cheering before the national anthem is only 3/4 way through. That in America, you know, there's no one. The national anthem is finished.
They do. I know in Croke Park though. I'll be in Croke Park at Saturday at the hurling match, and we'll be up there for 2 matches. But they do make an announcement to both the teams and the people that the national anthem now is going to be sung or played. Please wait until it's finished before you clap. You know.
Yeah, I didn't realise that. Yeah, I didn't know that now because it's awful to hear them cheering before and they're all dancing around. As I said, in America, if you look and you see some a baseball thing in America or a football thing, they'll stand to attention until the national anthem is over, and then they move. You know, which
as we know, with the West Clare businessman in charge, it's going well. With the West Clare businessman in America in charge.
Was that? Yeah, but you'd wonder, like, you know, whether it's a pity that it isn't done properly. But who are we to say, like, there's nothing we can do about that, you know?
Well, Tony, it was great to see you again. We've come to the end of another show, lads, and thank you, Niall Murray, for being with us most of the night.
Well, you got a call, I think, to the Glasnevin, I think.
You might have got a call to the crematorium for the pair of shoes. He left them in the boot of the car. Anyway, Niall, we wish you well for the rest of the week. And Tony, we'll catch up with you again during the week. And from Tony Browne and from myself, and from another district panel, until we'll see you again next Thursday. Take care, lads, and goodbye and good luck.
Good luck.
This is Rare Media. To whom it concerns, welcome to the panel.